If you ask most people to rank the world's strongest intelligence agencies, everyone will surely say it's the American CIA, the Russian FSB, or the British MI6, and, unfortunately, even the Israeli Mossad. But let me tell you that there is an intelligence agency in the world right now that is even stronger than the Mossad and more powerful than the Russian services, a device that almost surpasses the CIA, even though the state that owns it is not a great power, but rather a small country in Asia. After I mentioned Asia, your mind might have jumped to China, North Korea, or even India. But my friend, the country I'm talking about today is Pakistan, and that intelligence agency is the Pakistani ISI. This is the agency that succeeded in suppressing Soviet influence in Central Asia, destabilizing India's internal affairs, and placing Pakistan on the nuclear map alongside the other major powers. Today, we're going to find out who the ISI are and how they became one of the strongest intelligence agencies in the world. Let's start with the history. We must go back to August 14, 1947, the day Pakistan gained independence from British colonial rule and became an independent country. However, this milestone was accompanied by chaos, particularly due to the onset of the conflict between India and Pakistan over the division of their borders, as India had also gained its independence at around the same time. Both countries tried to restore internal stability, far from the ethnic conflicts between Hindus in India and Muslims in Pakistan, a conflict that has persisted throughout their histories. In October 1947, less than 2 months after their independence, war broke out between them in the border region of Kashmir. More than 266,000 people lost their lives, and many were injured in that war. The Kashmir conflict continued for over a year until the United Nations intervened to stop the war and prevent further escalation in 1948. At that point, the United Nations decided not to take sides, and the conflict continued. During 1947-1948, due to the conflict with India, Pakistani military intelligence began to emerge. However, its initial appearance was not in the form of an official specialized intelligence agency. Rather, it was part of the Pakistani Navy and Air Force intelligence units. The country did not yet have the capacity to organize and coordinate these intelligence efforts into a specialized agency. But because of their significant contributions during the war, Pakistan decided to gather officers from various arms intelligence sections into a small agency to carry out temporary missions. The officers joined the agency with the understanding that they would return to their respective services after their assignments, or once the war ended. Indeed, the officers began gathering intelligence and made every effort to help the Pakistani army during the war, despite the conditions under which they were assembled. In the end, in 1949, a ceasefire was declared, but the intelligence agency was not disbanded. It became an important part of Pakistan. From that point on, the world witnessed the rise of an intelligence agency that is among the strongest in history, the ISI. Its primary mission was to protect Pakistan's interests, track down political opposition, and safeguard the military role of the Pakistani army. With the onset of the Cold War and the expansion of Soviet communism in Asia, the ISI became a golden opportunity for the major Western powers, such as the United States and Britain, to counter the spread of communism in Asia. During that period, Pakistani intelligence received direct training from the West, especially from Britain, with the hope that they would become an intelligence branch of the Western powers in South Asia, to be exploited during the Cold War. Even though Pakistan viewed India as a more dangerous enemy than the Soviet Union, they benefited greatly from Western training for their intelligence agency. In 1958, the people of Pakistan in the Bengal and Sindh regions began to rebel against the central government, seeking independence. But as we mentioned, the ISI played an important role in quelling these rebellions by establishing internal surveillance units to monitor individuals and groups suspected of dissent. Since opposing the regime was considered treason, the ISI assumed the role of judge in dealing with traitors. However, internal problems preoccupied the ISI's focus, and they were unaware of India's preparations for another war. In 1965, a second war between India and Pakistan broke out, a bloody conflict that lasted only 17 days, but saw the largest tank battle since World War II. India had the upper hand in the war, partly because the ISI was unable to monitor the movements of the Indian army due to being preoccupied with internal rebellions. The war continued until a ceasefire was declared after interventions by the Soviet Union and the United States. In 1971, under the leadership of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the ISI became almost completely inactive and lost its significance. Bhutto was one of the staunchest enemies and critics of the agency due to its role in the Pakistani elections of 1970. This led to internal disputes, which in turn allowed India to reignite the conflict, resulting in the separation of East Pakistan and the formation of a new country, Bangladesh. However, the period of stagnation for Pakistani intelligence did not last long. Within just 1 year, the ISI returned to activity, and this time even stronger than before. During this period, the ISI helped the Pakistani government build its nuclear arsenal. In 1972, President Bhutto decided to gather Pakistani scientists from Europe and the United States to initiate a project to build a nuclear bomb. With the help of the ISI, whose mission was to secure the scientists and maintain the secrecy of the nuclear project led by the Pakistani engineer Abdul Qadir Khan, they not only succeeded in protecting him within Pakistan and abroad, but also helped spread his expertise to other countries such as Iran and Libya. Despite obstacles imposed by the United Nations and attempts to eliminate Abdul Qadir Khan, the ISI managed to protect him. In 1979, the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan, and no power could confront the Soviets in Afghanistan. The only resistance against them came from the Afghan Mujahideen, who were funded by the West, and the ISI's external role did not stop there. They were able to launch a covert war against China, supporting Muslim separatist movements in far western China. The ISI also expanded its operations by launching a second covert war within the Soviet Union itself, supporting secessionist movements in Central Asian countries such as Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan, with the help of Sunni groups in southeastern Iran, and even spying on foreign diplomatic missions in Pakistan. The ISI's espionage activities extended to spying on foreign diplomatic missions in Pakistan. Although the United States initially supported the ISI because they shared common interests against the Soviet Union, they eventually turned against it due to the ISI's continued support of jihadist groups in Afghanistan and other parts of Asia. Of course, we cannot forget the biggest reason behind the CIA's animosity toward the ISI, their support for Al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden during the 1980s. The ISI was an organization that possessed incredible precision, a robust system, and strict internal administrative infiltration. It was always headed by one director general who oversaw 3 direct subordinates managing 3 divisions within the Pakistani Intelligence Agency. The Internal Division, responsible for intelligence operations within Pakistan, local espionage, counter-espionage, counter-terrorism, and monitoring dissidents and saboteurs in certain regions of the country. The External Division, whose mission was espionage and gathering intelligence. And finally, the Foreign Relations Division, which managed diplomatic intelligence and Pakistan's relations with other countries. Each division was composed of smaller branches focusing on the agency's roles, along with specialized teams, such as covert operations teams, secret forces, and a team dedicated to developing explosives and weapons for Pakistani agents and spies. The Pakistani ISI remains active to this day. It is headquartered non-secretly in a building on the outskirts of Islamabad, yet it plays a major role not only within Pakistan but around the world, conducting espionage and monitoring India. It continues to intervene in Pakistani politics, manipulating elections to sideline political parties from power and expanding its influence within the state through more than 100,000 agents. The ISI's influence extends beyond borders, with more than 100,000 agents actively working to expand its reach and impact on global intelligence dynamics. This intelligence agency has managed to embed itself among the world's top intelligence organizations, an agency that has defeated the KGB, the CIA, and even the Israeli Mossad. Experts have summed it up by saying that it is a deep state within Pakistan. Many of its famous operations have been acknowledged by the ISI, and there have been numerous intelligence operations that the agency has denied involvement in. However, evidence and expert opinions confirm that they played a central role in actions such as the assassinations of Pakistani fugitives in various countries, including Britain and Canada. Now, I want to leave you with a question regarding the current state of Pakistani intelligence. What will its stance be amid the emerging conflicts between the United States, Russia, and China? Will it get involved in a major confrontation among the world's great powers, Or will it continue to play its modest roles and focus on India? I'll leave that point for discussion in the comments. And once again, if you haven't subscribed and activated the bell, you're missing out on everything that's coming next. Don't forget to support us with a like, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.